Hello, everyone. Welcome to Conversations. I'm MIT Janelle, and we are going to have a great show. I'm joined by the lovely ladies of Conversations. So nice to have you all here on the show. We want to take the opportunity, as always, to thank our great man of God, Pastor Tony Smith. Thank you so much for allowing us to be on this platform and to be able to speak on today. Today's topic is money and marriage. Money and love, money and marriage, money, and love. Okay, so let's talk about this, ladies. Of course, in a marriage, you have love, you're giddy, you have the children, but the money is the foundation of it all, right? Because money, the Bible says money is the answer to all things. So let's talk about this. How in a marriage should you handle money? Diva, you want to start?
Well, I think, money plays an important part in a marriage, in anything, really, because you can't live without money. But I think whomever is the one that can handle the money in the marriage, that's the one that needs to handle the money, handle the bills, and take care of the household, whatever. It does not matter who makes the most, I think, because in my marriage, I always made the most. But I still, let my husband have, I let him have the full run of what a man's supposed to do, what I think a man's supposed to do. But as far as the bank account joint, that's another story. Whole different story now. Whomever, I don't think it's anything wrong with having separate bank accounts in a marriage, because everybody can't handle a bank account.
Okay. All right. So you went a little ahead, because we're gonna get to that too. The separate bank accounts and joint bank accounts. Now you did mention something. You said whoever's good basically at handling the money between the spouse should handle the money.
Right.
Okay. Shala, how do you think you should handle money in marriage? Shala is newly married, under a year of being married.
Well, I think you have to first define what you mean by handle the money.
Okay.
So that first becomes the conversation. I think it could be a mutual agreement as well, because what happens is that it could be a matter of character, and responsibility. Because I don't want to get ahead of our conversation, but I think that it's just a conversation, and you govern yourself accordingly to what works for your relationship.
Okay, so you think we should have this conversation before? You think we should have this conversation before we get married, or
it's multiple conversations?
Yeah. Okay.
About, progressive about how, even about talking about how much you owe. I mean, how much you make.
Yeah.
Like, people don't even know how much their spouses make.
Okay. All right. So that we've heard from the seasoned, or was married for a long time, the newly married. Now let me hear from the never been married. Brianna, come on, talk to us.
I think that it is important in the dating process, when you become committed or serious, or considering engagement, or even not before considering engagement, because those things can play a factor on what a person's beliefs are, what their value system is, what their character, what their integrity is. And so when you discover that, to me, in dating, is almost like the breaking point of if this is something that I will continue to move forward in as far as marriage. So that would be my point of view. I've never been married before, but I think it would be learning the person's value system, their morals, how they handle money, how much they make, how much in debt are you in, all those different hard conversations, dressing up and being cute and going to dinner and trips and all that stuff is nice. But, I wouldn't say that that's the sole reality of marriage. And so I would have those crucial conversations.
Okay. Passport.
I was sitting here thinking about the fact that when before I got married, I came from an environment where a lot of money was not around for us. We were pretty much struggling. My mom, because my parents separated when I was much younger, a little girl. So I really didn't have a lot of experience of having access to much money, because the ones who were doing the providing were my mom or my grandmother. My dad pitched in when he could, but as I said, they were separated. So I didn't have a lot of experience about what to do with money. Just trying to go to college, my husband had that discussion, and I had discussed that a couple of days ago. We're discovering so many things that we really hadn't talked about, especially in our senior years. But we were having this discussion a few days ago, and I was saying, you know what? I really didn't know what it was like to have money, because most of my life we struggled with, we were not poor. So it wasn't like we were needing to have some food and stuff like that. But we just didn't have a lot of extra in the budgets. So I didn't really have access to a lot of money then. So when my husband and I married, I discovered that he was a much better money manager than I was, because I was struggling trying to keep things going, and then I thought he was trying to just laid back and everything like that. I offered the challenge, well, why don't you take it? He said, okay, I will. And when he really actually started managing our finances and things like that, my husband has this wonderful way of prioritizing what needs to be done and how soon. And he looks at every penny. You know,
That's good.
That was not what I did. So I had to learn about money management, because it wasn't something that came easily to me.
That's good. Elder Chantal?
I want to say that everybody who has money don't know how to manage money.
Right.
So it would be an expectation that I would have within myself to say, you know, I think you should just put your cards out on the table as you are dating or as the relationship progresses. I don't think as you are dating, a person should know everything about you. But I remember we had a show a long time ago about, there's nothing wrong about asking what the credit score is of the person that you are involved with. But I think as it progresses, you will understand that if a person talks more about investments, they talk more about how 401k matters to them, things like that, you kind of understand where a person is as far as their finances are concerned. I do agree with, because somebody take you on a trip 2 or 3, 4 times a week, as Minister Bree said, every 3 months we go on a trip. But, you know, is the mortgage paid? Do you own something? You know, all of those things do matter, which I do think that will show you who a person is based on the conversation that you have with them. So that way you can see, you know, if this person, you'll know, okay, does this person love shoes more than owning something? Does this person love clothes more than owning something?
Good.
You can have an understanding of where that person or their character or how they feel about their money.
That's good.
And also, if I can, when you dating, things seem different. You know, you can sit and talk about how you're gonna do money, and you can see that person that you're getting ready to marry doing money real good, and once you say I do this, it just turns, you know, so that happens too. So you can plan, and still your plans can flip upside down.
So in a marriage, is it considered his money, your money, or is it our money?
Well, it's definitely our money. For me, being the age that I am, I just got married at 48. My husband had his own house, I had my own house. He had his own money, I had my own money. You know, he was doing his own thing, I had my own thing. And when you bring that together, it's definitely a conversation. But I have the type of husband that pays all the bills. And when you have that type of husband, as a wife, I believe you have a responsibility. You know what I'm saying? Like, you have a responsibility to make sure that you don't take advantage of, I wouldn't even say his kindness, but of the integrity that he carried as a man. Now, when it becomes our money, the expectation is, my husband's expectation is never that he would need me, that he would need me. But if it's a need, he needs you to handle it. You know what I'm saying? He don't expect me, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't expect him, like, every little thing, like, you gonna do that, you gonna do that. No, if you see it,
Right.
Like, babe, oh, I paid that, or I did that. And he's like, oh, okay, you know, because it becomes an expectation. That's the expectation and character that I have.
That's good.
And if you know, it becomes a discussion of what your expectation is. And let me tell you something, all you women, you don't want it to be a conversation. You want to see. I want to see the bank account. I want to see the score. Because a lot of things become front things.
Yeah. Yep.
You could drive big, live big, and be struggling. And I've been there before. I didn't struggle. I know what low mean. I know what high mean. And I'm not, you know, really down to anybody and where they at with their progress. But it's definitely something that you can work through. So I don't want any relationship or marriage to feel like you can't work through financial challenges, or you have to hide your money or do secret things. You can have a conversation and you can develop a plan as a couple to be successful.
That's beautiful. Let me say this. Let me go to Brianna and Elder Chantal being, you know, never married, because with this question, is it your money, his money, or our money? And I'm gonna ask because with this, you know, you all handle your own money, right? This is what you have built. This is what you have been building, and now you got to come into with another person, either telling you what to do or you compromising, when before, right now, you don't have to compromise. Tell me how that could or how that could make a single woman feel.
A single woman don't want to be married. If that's the mindset, you don't want to be married.
Yeah,
I want to hear from them.
I mean, for me, I know it'd be an adjustment. I think everything would be an adjustment, not just my money, even my whereabouts. For me to get up and run to the store, come back, and not be accountable would be a change for me. So it would be the same change for me with considering money. To answer your question, my money, his money, yes, I do come into it with money. I do come into it with property. I do come into it with those things. It will be my hope that in my dating, knowing the character of the person, to be able to relinquish that, because I am sure it's to some degree of his capability, as well as mine, because it's a two-way street. I'm looking for somebody, he looking for something too. So it's not just, you know, one person being the prize in the sense. If, you know, we want to go by that, So I don't think I would have a problem in sharing. I don't think I would have. But I think people have problems because of who they select or who selected them.
Okay, Elder Chantal, I want to hear from you.
Amen.
I'm gonna sum it up
Amen.
right. Pass the baton.
Right. So at this age, I'm 50 years old, and I have a whole different perspective about what you should bring to the table. And I might be, hopefully I'm not being biased when I say this, but you can't come to the table less than what I have. And I'm just being honest. I have a lot of things going on. I have a lot of things I've built that I do not want to be destroyed because somebody else comes into my life. And I think at this age, yes, you're going to have to show me on paper. I'm going to have to see things. I'm going to have a conversation with you. But yeah, I believe once we're together, we will be our money. But I think at this point, you got to be confident in who you choose, because you don't want to lose what you have built. And I think that's where I'm at. I'm good. I'm good. I have everything. You know, you bring something in, it will be extra, and I thank you for that. However, I'm good where I'm at. I can maintain myself. If I want to go out and buy a car tomorrow, I can go buy a car tomorrow. If I want to go out and go traveling tonight, I can go traveling tonight. But I don't want a person to come into my life and say, oh, I forgot to pay that BGE bill. Right. We not going to be able to go and do whatever. Oh, you know, I can't pick up my cell phone and be like, you forgot to pay the cell phone bill? I don't want to have that type of relationship. But as Minister Bree said, yeah, I think people have issues because of whom they selected as their partner, which can cause issues with money.
Pastor Poole wants to say something.
I was going to say that it has a lot to do with your understanding of that person. Because if the relationship is built, you're just wonderful and so grateful and glad and happy that you going to be married and share your life together, but we have to be willing to let go of some of that uncertainty, because there's a certain bond of trust that must be established. That being said, because I mentioned earlier that my husband and I had both come to the conclusion that he was the better money manager, that doesn't mean that I don't manage any of the funds that go within our marriage. For instance, we have a household account. I use that because that's how I purchase the groceries and the other things. The big major things, paying the mortgage and all of the other high-ticket items that are part of the budget, he handles because he manages. He keeps his own particular listing and everything, but there is none of that information that is kept secret from me.
That's good.
I know periodically we sit down and we look at, well, what's in the bank account? Sometimes if we'd have to go to an account to pull on it or something like that, he doesn't pull it on it, and neither do I, unless we first discuss it and come to an agreement about, is it wise? How much do we need to reasonably do? So we talk about it. But I have a separate account that I use when I have to purchase groceries and stuff like that, because I don't want to be out if a big sale is somewhere and I'm thinking I can go ahead and spend more, and he's trying to address some unexpected expense, then I don't want to be pulling and making it difficult. So we come to an agreement. I have a household account. That's what I use for to purchase certain things, and he does uses the other account for that. I don't even touch that unless we talk about it and express.
So
why.
when you have those separate accounts, should even if it's a separate account or joint account or those separate accounts, should you have access to each other's separate accounts, or do you think not could lead to some issues?
We have access.
Okay.
But I don't, that being said, I don't go to that account and pull from that unless I first say, honey, can I do this because there's an emergency going on, stuff like that. But I just don't routinely go and pull from it when he's counting on that, because he knows when certain bills are due to fall and be paid. So I don't do it without discussing it with him.
I remember our man of God saying, and you touched about, you said you're going to come into, whenever you get married, with your money, property. You and your husband both had your own property, your own money. The man of God said something real. He said, it should be, you have your empire, he got his empire, and together you make a kingdom. And that's the choice, so then you can say, do we rent one house or sell the other? We got choices, not like we trying to figure this out and build it. Let me ask this question. What about the person that makes the most money in the family, which we call the breadwinner? So you may have someone that makes six figures. You may have someone that makes, 40, 50,000, whatever the case may be. Who does that determine who makes the money decision because he or she makes more money, yes or no, and why not?
I don't think it makes a difference whether you make the most money, whether or not, it's whoever can handle it. That's what I think. Whoever can handle the money, that's who makes the decisions. When I first got married, my husband wasn't making the most. When I first got married, and he wanted to have his own business, and he had no business aspect about himself. He didn't know how to do his business. So therefore, I went back into the position where I was making the most money again, because he did not know how to handle his business. So I went to work and I made the most money, but it didn't take away from him doing what he had now, what he had to do. And as far as having that joint bank account, I mean, it's pros and cons. It's pros and cons about everything. I couldn't do that. I did it at first, in the marriage. I had to hurry up and just do it myself, because I'm just telling you this, I'm being transparent. When it came time to pay a bill, the money was gone. So I had to take it back out of his name and put it back in my name. Everybody's marriage is different. And some people have a good marriage all the way from start to finish. I'm just being transparent. It's just how it was.
I think, I'm newly married, so me and my husband, we are actually working through a lot of that, right? And one of the things is that for me in my marriage, it would be no secrets. It would be no hidden agendas. It would be no tuck away. Because I believe that I could be honest. If I want a pair of shoes, he know what he married.
That's
You know,
good.
no, he know what he married. You know, even when we went on vacation, we were out, and I was like, I want this purse. He said, how much is it? He said, put it back.
That's good. That's good.
You know, because he know my expectation, but I'm not gonna sneak or hide. And you know, like Pastor Pooh said, I think, well, especially like at this age that I am, you know, I think it's imperative that you're able to, first of all, marry somebody that's compatible to you and accept you and understand who you are as a person. And number one, trust you. Because trust is the key. You know, I trust my husband. I trust that, I trust him with my life. So I trust that he's going to make good decisions, not only for me, but for the household. And I will hope that he feel the same, that, okay, I trust my wife. Like, I'm not worried about her running off or doing anything that would be detrimental to the household. But also for him to know that I got his back. Like, oh, my wife got it. Or we good. Even if he felt pressure or if he felt like, you know, the weight was a little heavy, like, oh, she got it.
You know, that speaks to knowing what you're working with. Because when you get married, you don't know nearly as much about each other as you will down the line. But you made those vows and those commitments to each other, and you understand that there are two personalities who are agreeing that they want to be together until death do us part. So it doesn't mean that we don't run short on some things or we don't have some misunderstandings about some things. But we learn to work with what we have if we're serious about our commitment.
So that's good. So okay. So, but let me ask this again: does the breadwinner of the family get to call all the shots?
So when I hear, it's me, guys, the single girl. When I hear breadwinner, I think of the sole person responsible for taking care of the house. And so if two working people are sharing the responsibility, I think that's different from bread. When I hear breadwinner, I hear that my income is what we're eating off of.
I'm referring to the person that makes the most money in the family.
Right, because I guess to my point, breadwinner and making the most money to me are two different things. I make 75 and you make 80. I don't think that qualifies for you to be able to make a decision more over the other person.
Well, for the sake of this,
Let me say this. My father said, you pay the cost to be the boss. That's what my father said. He said, I pay the cost to be the boss. And that means my mom pays absolutely nothing for herself, for the entire house. That means when he said he paid the cost to be the boss, I reverence him for that, because in his integrity, he feel like I could pick up the load of this whole house. Now, does that mean my mother don't have an opinion? No. That does not mean that she doesn't have an opinion or she can't interject herself. But I do believe that it speaks to the person that you're dealing with, because my father prides himself on being able to take care of the entire house. Like that means when I say take care, she don't have to work. She choose to work.
okay, let me stop you there and let me go on the other end of that. Okay, so what happens when the woman is the one that is making more money than the man, significantly more money than the man, so she's carrying the weight of the house? Could that lead to divorce, or does it make a man feel less than? Elder Chantal, I haven't heard from
I think, as we all said, you have to have that discussion. If you already know that I am making $80,000 and you're only making 40, right? And now maybe the person making 40 can manage the person who's making the $80,000. Yeah, but you're going to have a discussion, because you don't want nobody to feel intimidated. You don't want to say, okay, I'm bringing a $1,500 check, you're only bringing an $800 check, you know what I mean?
Right.
So I think it all comes to you having a conversation, saying, okay, this is where you are, this is where I am, and we're going to have meeting of the minds, as Pastor Paul is saying, and we're going to come together collectively and say, this is what it's going to be. And we're going to work together and, you know, just allow that money to...
Let me say this. A wise woman would know that. A wise woman would know what makes her husband or man feel competent or enough.
Excellent.
You're not a wise woman if you don't know what makes him tick. So you can make the money and you can still make him feel good with what he brings to the table, and that's a wise.
Yeah, and I was gonna say I'm sorry to cut you off. I think that's relative too, because and I know you were generalizing and speaking in terms, but something leading to divorce to me, that's a bigger problem than, because if you know that I make 40 and you make 80, as Elder said, I don't see why that would be leading to something if you came into it already knowing that you were the breadwinner. So that to me seems, if money becomes a problem and you entered something that way, then to me it's bigger than money now. Or you marry with an expectation that something would change, or married off of, and as our pastor say, you don't marry off of potential. The potential that he will make more money, the potential that he would get off of his feet, the potential. So I think that's what leads to discord or divorce, is marrying someone off of possibility or potential. And so, but if you came into knowing, then I can't see why you're mad. And coming into knowing, you would also understand that, yes, I make more money, but as the man of the house, I want to say, those things will already, to me, be established in the dating fiance stage, and not you try. I do believe that some things you will figure out in marriage, but some things, it should already be spoken before we have a contract.
Well, I'm going to say this. I had...
Contract.
Because that's what marriage is. To me, I mean, before, yes, I make a pledge to God, I make a vow to you, but at the end of the day, it is a contract. We're making an agreement. We're entering a covenant with an agreement. But I don't sign nothing I haven't read what I'm agreeing to.
Read the fine print.
So, I mean, that's my thought. Hey, guys, I'm the single girl. Don't listen to me.
Listen. The marriage and money thing is really a touchy subject, right? It's really a touchy subject, and I think it takes two mature adults to come together to come to an agreement. So, for instance, we have two homes. I chose to leave my home. I chose to give up my home because we can't live in two places. And some people was like, oh my God, you leaving your house? Yeah. Because the husband that I have know what he married in expectation. He know he's not going to take me out of something and not put me in something better. So you have to know the expectation and the conversation of what you guys can agree to.
I think it all boils down to who you marrying. And that's just the bottom line. And you know, and again, as you are dating, you know the person you are involved with. You don't wait until you get married and think that something is going to change because you got married. If it's happened during your dating, you know, if it's happening and you know that person is not good with money, bad with money, got an issue because you make more money, they make less money, that's something that's going to carry over into your marriage. The only difference is now y'all are one, sharing, one making 40, one making 80. You know what I mean? So, I mean, it comes down to who you got or who
Sharing is
chose
caring.
you.
Sharing.
But it's also the honesty and the communication of who you are and where you are with that person. And dating is one thing when you're trying to put a facade, but when they get serious, you got to take that mask off and be honest about who we are.
And let me say this real quick, because I had to be honest with my husband about them student loans. Them student loans was, I didn't want it to be a secret.
Well, I think I see honesty saves everybody's time. We hope that you have learned a lot from this show. We really could, at some shows we can really do a part 2. This really could be a part 2. We want you to join us for our services on Wednesday, 12 noon and 6 p.m. online on Facebook and on YouTube, and of course on Sunday mornings at 9 a.m. and 11 a.m. We'll see you next time for more conversations.